A handshake that helped end the Cold War, but left lingering resentment. Back in the 1990s, Soviet leader Mikhail Gorbachev allegedly got verbal guarantees from U.S. officials that NATO would not expand towards the east, but they were never put in writing. Some historians say the story is a myth, but Vladimir Putin insists it's real. And his press conference last December showed NATO's eastern expansion is certainly still a real source of anger for him. Not another inch to the east, they told us in the 90s. And what? They cheated us. The U.S. has brought its missiles to our home. They're already at our doorstep. I don't know what there is not to understand here. It's obvious. We want to ensure our own security. Many Russians agree that NATO expansion is a threat. They've already surrounded us on all sides, and they keep expanding and expanding. But when we carry out military exercises on our own territory, then that's some sort of catastrophe, the end of the world. These talks with NATO are important for everyone, for the West and for Russia. It's better to come to an agreement, and not just a verbal one, but a written one. You have Ukraine trying to join NATO, bases and things being stationed directly at our borders. I think everyone should just keep to themselves. If you live in America, then stay there and don't meddle in the affairs of another continent. Western officials have been reporting that Russia is massing troops on the border to Ukraine. Russia, meanwhile, denies planning an attack. Analysts say the troop buildup could be Vladimir Putin's way of flexing his muscles to get what he wants. It's important for Putin to go down in history. He wants to be able to say, I created the foundations for Russia's national development and resolved the main foreign policy problems. I stopped NATO eastern expansion and returned Russia to its former glory. Putin is hoping Russia can come out on top in the latest tug-of-war with NATO. Even today, Cold War divisions into East and West still shape the thinking in the Kremlin.
Well, those talks are taking place today, and our Brussels bureau chief, Alexandra von Namen, is covering them for us. Hi, Alexandra. We saw the Russian perspective on these talks there. What is NATO's response to that view?
NATO officials have rejected the Kremlin's claims that NATO is posing a threat to Russia. They are saying NATO is a defensive alliance whose main purpose is to protect its members. And they are also saying that the two rounds of enlargement in 1999 and 2004 was not meant to threaten Russia, because NATO is not seeking a confrontation with Russia, but they say it is the right of every independent nation to decide for themselves whether they would like to join NATO or not. And we also have to add that actually after the end of the Cold War, NATO started to reduce its troops in Europe, and it was Russia's increasingly aggressive behavior that changed that. For example, after Russia's illegal annexation of Crimea in 2014, only then NATO started to strengthen its posture on its eastern flank.
Well, if we look at what's on the table today, Russian officials already met with U.S. diplomats on Monday. There was no progress there. So why should this meeting with NATO be any different?
Well, Sumi, I'm not sure that this meeting here is going to be much different. After all, no one here really expects a breakthrough. However, of course, NATO is front and center on the agenda, and it is significant that the 13 NATO member states are coming here together with Russia, because the NATO-Russia Council that was designed for such a dialogue was dead for almost 2.5 years. So now they have a chance to talk to each other and to express their grievances.
And what about within the alliance? Are NATO partners fully united on how to speak with Russia?
Well, they want to present themselves as united, and they have agreed that there will be severe consequences, political and economic sanctions, if Russia uses force against Ukraine. However, we have to say that they are not all on the same page when it comes to the question of how severe those sanctions are going to be. France and Germany, for example, have always been reluctant to inflict too much pain on Russia, and the new German government is sort of ambiguous when it comes, for example, to the new Nord Stream 2 gas pipeline and the question whether that will be cancelled if we would see another aggression against Ukraine.
Our Brussels bureau chief, Alexander von Namen, reporting for us there. Thank you.